What's good, everybody? Today we're going to grade Kyle Kuzma and Tyus Jones. How did they grade this season? And then we're going to look at what is Bradley Beal's legacy in the 202. We're going to talk about that and more next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. So today we're going to grade Kyle Kuzma and Tyus Jones, our vets with the Wizards, and then we're going to look at what truly is Bradley Beal's legacy in DC, because I'm kind of responding to a column that was written by somebody talking about Bradley Beal as where he's at in the Suns, and I'm kind of look at his legacy in DC real quick. But let's get into it. Let's get into Kyle Kuzma. This is going to be the first of all the players we're going to grade. We've already graded the front office. We've already graded both Wes Unseld Jr. and interim head coach Brian Keefe. So let's get into the players now. Looking at Kyle Kuzma, this previous season he averaged 22.2 games or points a game. 6 rebounds or 6.6 rebounds, 4.2 assists. Let's see, blocks, a little under 1 block. Now looking at his field goal percentage, I just had it. He shot 46.3, so above league average, but from 3-point range, his 3-point percentage was 33.6, so he was actually below league average. So, the pros about Kyle Kuzma: number one, leadership. Right, he has been a source of leadership. Since the beginning of his time here in DC, he's definitely been a big voice in the locker room. He's a guy that brings championship experience, winning a championship ring with the Los Angeles Lakers. So, looking at, the fact that, looking at his size, his ability to use his size to attack the basket. He has the capability to hit those 3-point shots. Now, I get what a lot of you guys are going to say, and it kind of goes into the negatives. Okay, yes. He could definitely be that scorer. Again, he's, second year in a row, he's averaging over 20 points a game. So he definitely has been a consistent source of points for the Washington Wizards. Now, the cons, right? He can be very dependent on that 3-point shot. Sometimes, he definitely needs to attack more. But another thing he needs to do when he attacks, because looking at his size, he has the ability to attack the rim whenever he wants. And so, with his comment, with exit interviews, with him in really the vision with this team going forward, which is what? Getting other guys involved. The development of the young guys is priority. It's priority number 1. It's priority number 2. It's actually priority number 3. So for us to do that and have Kyle Kuzma on the roster, he has to, 1, continue to be that consistent source of points. 2, be that leader in the locker room. But also 3, find ways to get other people involved using his skill set, which is what? When he's attacking the rim and collapsing the defense, utilize shooters on the outside. Definitely try to look to get other people set up, whether it's Denny, whether it's Corey Kispert, whether it's Jordan Poole. The list goes on. So, I know that is definitely a goal for him personally, and it's a goal for the organization because, look, he's definitely a good guy, but, he has been a great veteran voice in the locker room. He has been. He has been a consistent scorer. Where does he hurt the team at times? Well, the inefficiency has hurt the team at times. Definitely, between him and JP, they have to learn how to run a lot more plays, utilize the shot clock. Can he be dependent on his jump shot, especially his 3-point shot? Absolutely, to a fault at times. But we cannot deny that he is definitely a consistent source of points. He has probably been the best leader in the locker room the last 3 years when it should have been other players. And I'm not going to pinpoint nobody, even though we're about to talk to him in a little bit. So he has been that leader in the locker room for the team for at least the last couple of years. So leadership-wise, consistent source of points, he definitely gets marks. Now, where do I grade Kyle Kuzma and why? It's hard because, look, again, he's been a consistent scorer. He's been a big-time leader for this team. And when he can drive the lane, he can set himself in those positions to score. He's just a natural scorer. So, he definitely gets hard marks for that. But, I get it. Again, I see it. I know you guys do. He definitely relies on his jump shot too much, and he's got to find ways to make people around him better. Because I said it at the exit interviews with Kyle Kuzma. I said, look, we know you can be that scorer. We know you can score. You got an NBA championship ring. You've shown that you can be a leader in the locker room here in DC. What's the next step? And he said, making other people better. Trying to get other people involved. And I think that is definitely a great first step towards evolving who he is as a player, especially, kind of conforming to where, he's a rebuild. So we know he can be that scorer. We definitely need him to get other people involved. And I think that, that being a goal for him personally, definitely a step in the right direction for this team going forward, because, there's still a lot of intangibles to unfold, right? The draft is still around the corner. So, definitely tune in Locked On Wizards, because we're going to do a lot of free agency and more draft and free agency, obviously, but a lot of draft content. So definitely rock with your boy. But, we don't know what the blueprint is going forward. This is the first off season for this front office. So, Kyle Kuzma, the fact that they signed him to an extension that was a team friendly deal, there's other ways to look at it. Team friendly to trade, team friendly to stay. We'll see. But there's a lot to unfold as far as who's going to stay here. As far as the veteran players, Tyus Jones, we already covered that on the previous video, whether he should be retained or whether he's on his way out as an unrestricted free agent, or whether we can do a sign and trade. Landry Sham is another guy who his contract is not guaranteed next year. You have Marvin Bagley III on the expiring contract. So could he be tradable? Rashawn Holmes playing. So there's a lot of dominoes need to fall, but I think that all arrows point to him being here long term. If you look at off the court, the fact that he's opening up businesses in the DC area, he's definitely setting his roots here. So, learning that and knowing that, how can we have him on the roster and still develop these young guys? That should be the priority, right? So I definitely think that he can still be that scorer for us. We definitely need a consistent scorer. Between him and JP, we need both of them to be consistent source of points. And especially looking at Denny, he's making that step to be a weapon on the offensive end. Same thing with Corey Kispert. The list goes on. So he definitely needs to learn how to get other people involved. So I think that's the goal. That's what we want to see. So I'm rambling, y'all. So where do I grade my man Kyle Kuzma? All right. I'm gonna give him a B+. And the reason that he's not an A- is that he's got to learn how to get other people involved. There was times, and I'm not gonna say that so much the second half, because you saw glimpses in him and you saw like a lot of success because he was getting other people involved. He's letting other people cook, whether it was Denny, JP. So it's going to be A-/B+. Reason for that, the first half of the season, way too much ISO, way too much dependence on the jump shot, selling for the jump shot. I wanted to see him attack the basketball, utilize his size. I mean, at 6'10", because he's got the ability to attack anytime he wants. And very few guys in the league are be able to stop him outside of, your big centers who are defensive centers. So I'm going to give him an A-/B+ because leadership was on point. He was the big factor in the locker room that kept this team together. Obviously he's been that scorer, 22 points a game. Now, second half assists, again, it goes back to B+, but it goes into an A- because he was starting to evolve that part of the game, which was give more responsibility to other guys. Definitely put himself in a position to not only eat for himself, but to provide for other people, right? To set other people up to succeed, whether it's Denny, whether it's Corey Kispert, whether it's Jordan Poole. So that's what I'm going to grade him. I get it. You guys, the ISO, the dependence on the jump shot, but overall, not a bad year. Not a bad year. I get it. Overall as a team, I mean, probably it was the worst season ever. But we knew coming in, guys, that it wasn't going to be defined by wins and losses. It was going to be defined by how our young core develops. And we're seeing it with Denny Avia. We're seeing it with Corey Kispert. We're seeing it with Rui Hachimura in LA and Daniel Gafford in Dallas. We're definitely seeing it. Johnny Davis, we'll see. He needs work, but we'll see. But I'm going to grade him an A-/B+ because you started to see him change his game a little bit. He's still that consistent source of points, but he was trying to get other people involved. And it's definitely the goal and definitely what we want to see from Kyle Kuzma going forward. So definitely let me know what you guys think, because I know a lot of people are going to agree. A lot of you are not. But that's the thing. That's why I like dialogue. And that's why I like rock with you guys, man, because we can talk about it. So if you agree or disagree, definitely let me know below. But again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grade my man Kyle Kuzma with an A-/B+ because while we do want to see him set people up more. He was starting to add that part of his game in the second half of the season. So definitely want to see him do a lot more of that next season. So we're going to get into the grade for Tyus Jones. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person. Do you think that's true? Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, yeah, I have a competitive side. We all do, right? My competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist of Monopoly where you can play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But now I can also heist their vaults of riches for myself. Ooh. And the leaderboards show me who is the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Tonight's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. Let me find the Gametime. I'm just going to roll. Okay, Gametime. Tonight's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. So I'm a big guy. I mean, I go to big games all the time. I meant to say I'm a big fan. I'm obviously a big guy, but I go to games all the time. You know, baseball season, I'm going to my Nats, I'm going to the O's and being more. You know, football, obviously the Commanders, but also the DC Defenders who are playing right now. So definitely a shout out to them. And then basketball, the Wizards and my college team, George Mason. So there's pluses and minuses about all of them, but Gametime is my go-to. Why? Because Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace on Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, which is huge, especially if you'll have a long drive. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed, Gametime gets the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Now, there's some things that really bring up why I like Gametime. Well, first, priority, last-minute deals, right? Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater, etc. Flash deals. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Zone deals. Save even more when you choose a section and let Gametime choose the seats. All in prices. Toggling this feature knows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. And seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, which is key. So, look, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON-NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON-NBA for $20 off your purchase. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Have to turn on the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for your every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So let's get into Tyus Jones. Now, obviously, we covered him before as far as what the future is. Is he here for the long term? Is he not? And like I said, a lot of dominoes need to fall before we get there. So let me go ahead and get into his. This took me off the stats, y'all. Lord, the internet is supposed to make my life easier. All right, so look at the Tyus this season. He averaged 12 points a game, 2.7 rebounds a game, 7.3 assists, around 1.1 steals, and 0.3 blocks. Now, we scroll over and it was get his 3-point percentage. Looking at his field goal percentage this season, he shot 48.9%. So definitely over league average, which is around 45%. And 3-point percentage, he shot 41.4%. So let's get into Tyus. Where did we grade Tyus? Well, first, the pros. I mean, looking at his assist to turnover ratio, elite numbers. 7 assists. His assist numbers were on point this year. I definitely like the numbers as far as his impact of being that floor general, right? Being a guy who is looking to pass first, get other people involved first, as opposed to scoring. He definitely set a lot of people up in, the shows with assist numbers, his assist to turnover ratio, elite numbers. He definitely came in and did his job. His ability to, he doesn't have the athletic point guard skills of maybe a John Morant or even a John Wall, but his floater was money. Averaged 12 points a game. So he had the ability to, contribute when, Kyle Kuzma or Jordan Poole was struggling, or when Denny was struggling, he step in and be that fourth or third scorer for these guys. So, not too shabby. Now let's get into the negatives. Now, and then, well, before we get into negatives, another thing that's not, usually mentioned with Tyus Jones was leadership. A lot of leadership in DC. And I think that's why, if you look at I'm going to say one time, the culture of this team and how they enjoy playing with each other. I think a lot that has to do with a lot of different leaders, a lot of different perspectives, a lot of guys in the think tank as far as leadership in the locker room. Kyle Kuzma, obviously we know he's the team leader. Jordan Poole started to show a lot of leadership in the second half. So I definitely think that you need to take that into consideration. But Tyus Jones and even Anthony Gill, these two guys, they were leaders in the locker room. Anthony Gill always on the sideline, taking a knee. He's the first guy out, high-fiving. Any time out, he's the first guy on the court. He was definitely under the radar leader for this team that I don't think we give him a lot of credit. And the same thing with Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones was definitely a leader for this team, because he's been in the NBA for a minute. And I asked him at the exit interview, I said, look, you've been around the block for a little bit, man. Do you hand down a lot of knowledge and advice? And he said, yeah, the biggest thing is, being in the rebuild, keep your head up, keep working. Young guys, I talked about it with Jordan Poole and his struggles this year, how he went from struggling to playing at a high level. And it comes down to the mind, the psyche. Not every young guy can take L's like Jordan Poole, or take L's of being part of a rebuild and keep working, keep moving forward. We saw it with Ben Simmons. Nothing against Ben Simmons. He gets enough flack, but you can't take away from, looking at his departure from Philly and looking at how his NBA career went down. What is the core issue? Asking him to get better. I mean, that's what I'm saying, that, being part of a rebuild, you're going to take more L's than wins, man. And, that's hard on the psyche for a young guy, man. So, he definitely had a lot of influence with these young guys as far as keep working, keep your head up, keep pushing forward, keep being a professional. You're definitely going to hit pay dirt, but it's all about the journey, man. It's all about the work. It's all about the development, and that's the one thing that a lot of fans need to realize, that it's about the journey, man. It's about the work. Is that I get it. I'm with you. I'm a pro rebuild guy, but I get it. Rebuilds are long. It can be hard. Pause. But here's the thing, man. If done right, it's going to take some time. And, that was the big message for Tyus Jones. Now, let's slide into the negatives. Defense. Defense is definitely not a part of his game. Defense was a struggle. And when people talk, ask about the backcourt with Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones, there was a lot to want from them, because they were undersized and they were not the best defensive backcourt, because neither one of them are defensive guys. Now, with Jordan Poole, second half of the season, you saw a lot more effort on the defensive side. Now, is he polished defensively? No. Does he have a lot of work to do? Yes. Get back to Tyus. The effort was there at times, but he obviously not a lockdown defender, not a guy who's going to be known as a defensive guy. But with those two, you saw the effort, but in a backcourt, one of your guys needs to be able to play defense. And that's why they say if there's a scorer first point guard in the backcourt, your two guard has to be able to be a defender. And likewise, or if your two guard is a score first guy, you have to have a point guard who is defensive minded, because you can't have a backcourt both guys can't defend, because you're just inviting for people to attack them defensively. And that's what happened. A lot of people attacked JP and attacked Tyus when they're in the same backcourt, because they knew that this was not a great defensive backcourt. So, that's is he the only guy that's bad defensively? No, but at point guard, going forward, we already touched base as far as pace. Now, yes, Tyus Jones can play with pace, but unrestricted free agent. And it comes down to, I do think the organization had to choose between the two. So, I've covered that before. We're going to talk about it before again. But get back to Tyus Jones and where he grades. Where do I grade Tyus Jones, man? And it's very similar to, it's very similar to Kyle Kuzma. I'm gonna give him a B+. I'm gonna give him a B+ because he did his job. He was a floor general. He was a guy who got other people involved. He was a guy who can contribute with scoring and attacking the rim if need be. Obviously not a first option, but he did his job. Now the defense does knock him, but I feel like Tyus Jones came in and had a really good year. If you look at his numbers, he had a really good year. Now I get it, we weren't a very good team, but individually he did his job and he did his job right. The biggest knock on Tyus Jones is his defense. So, I'm gonna give him a B plus. Obviously looking at Kyle Kuzma, I gave him a B plus. Definitely again, let me know how you guys think. Where would you grade him? Why and why not? So definitely let me know where your head is at as far as that. But look, I gotta roll with a B plus because defensively didn't make the biggest impact, but offensively he did his job being at floor generals. Definitely something that we needed at the time, man. So I'm not even upset with Tyus, but like I said, we've covered it before, and we're going to cover it again as far as what is his long-term vision. What is the long-term outlook with him being here? I definitely encourage you guys who have not seen my previous video as far as the organization having to choose between the two. I definitely, recommend you guys see it. But again, I'm going to go with a B plus. That's what I grade Tyus Jones. So we're going to get into the report about Bradley Beal and look at real quick, what is his legacy in DC? When you think of Bradley Beal in the Wizards uniform, what do you think about? But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. So you're wondering, what is PrizePicks, right? Well, PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. Because all you have to do is pick more than or less than or 2 or more players in their stats and watch the winnings roll in. So look, get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. Because as you guys know, the playoffs have begun. The play-in tournament is over, and now we are into the first round. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. And sometimes if you pick 5 players, getting 3 correct will get you some money back. So you can turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, and college basketball. Well, not so much college basketball, but hockey and basketball right now with the NBA entries on PrizePicks because, again, they are America's #1 fantasy sports app. So what do you guys got to do? Easy. Just go to download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for our first deposit matchup to $100. And again, look, all you guys got to do is download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for our first deposit matchup to $100. All right, y'all, let's get back into it. And we're going to get in. I'm going to pull up this report real quick. So rock with your boy real quick. But as you know, Bradley Beal is on the Phoenix Suns. And if you don't know, you should know. But I'm going to go over a report that came over. And I can't pull out. I had it saved. But there was a report that came out from somebody who covers the Suns. And it says that, Bradley Beal is a shell of his former self. And if he was not overrated as a player from the get-go, he definitely was going over from Washington to Phoenix. Now, we're not going to get into that so much. I know a lot of us are glad that his contract is off the books, but a lot of us do have fond memories of Bradley Beal in a Wizards uniform. So, again, I want you guys to comment below. What is your legacy? When you think of Bradley Beal and his tenure in DC, what do you think? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to look at all sides, all perspectives, but I'm going to say this as far as legacy in DC. Now, obviously, the way he left out wasn't ideal because he contributed a lot in his career here in DC. When he left, he supermax contract, with a lot of us didn't think he really warrants to get one because he wasn't a true #1 option. And I'm one of those guys, that contract really put us in a bind. If you look at some of the power they give him as far as roster construction, there's a lot of questionable. And I get it, his body language on the court, this is last year here, not always taking everything serious, his limitations on the court, being bringing the ball up as opposed to having the point guard bring the ball up, bouncing his ball off his foot and clutch. I get it. The way he left the bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, not all, but a lot. But I will say this, man, as far as legacy, and I get that, I get the way he left was to a certain degree very sloppy. I will say this, when I think of Bradley Beal in the Wizards uniform, it comes back to John Wall, their relationship and, what their backcourt was able to produce, what they were able to do. And that's what I go back to, John Wall, in my opinion, look, I'm an 85 baby. I was obviously alive when the Bullets had Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, Rod Strickland. And, I was young enough to be fans of them, but my fanhood really started with Gilbert Arenas. And at the time, I was a young man. I was in the military, coming off a deployment to Iraq. And, I remember, fondly of times when I was overseas trying to find a TV, if there was a TV, if we were at a place where there's a TV, seeing what the Wizards are doing, or, trying to get news coverage. So my fandom goes way back. And obviously my favorite Wizards always be Gilbert Arenas, John Wall, Bradley Beal. No disrespect to Jerron Howard. I like Jerron Howard, but those are my top three. So you got to think about, he put in quality years here in DC. He make sacrifices at times as far as contracts? Yeah, you can say that. I mean, we signed to extension, the first extension. He got the second one after John Wall went down. We definitely gave him the contracts. He definitely wanted to be here for a long time, and he put in quality minutes, man. He was definitely a really good two guard. Now, with him and John Wall formed a really good backcourt, in my opinion, and then a lot of fond memories. I mean, like I said, the teams we had with John Wall and Bradley Beal, obviously, had Al Porter, Kelly Aubrey Jr., Markieff Morris, Marcin Gortat. The list goes on, and whoever was comprised the bench at the time. But it was a good team. Was it a championship team? No. It was a team that would hopefully get you past the first round. We got, one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I think finally that, that's his legacy. The fact that there was a very exciting time in DC with him and J-Dub. There's a lot of excitement as far as, Markieff. It was a good team. It definitely brings back memories. So, to me personally, it may be different, you guys. I don't judge him too much on his exit. Now, it was a sloppy exit, and it's not just on him. It's not just on the organization. There's a lot of factors that made it sloppy. Could he have been traded a lot earlier? Yes. Should have given him so much power, knowing that he's not a true number one. That's a conversation we've had 10, 20 times between me and E, man. So that's what, I think that's the legacy in DC for Bradley Beal, is that, he was a part of a really exciting era and a really exciting chapter of this franchise that definitely left us wanting more. Obviously, we wanted the championship. We took our bumps and bruises and trials and tribulations in the playoffs, but that is my legacy as far as, or that's my opinion of what Bradley Beal's legacy. He provided 10 good years here in DC, and hopefully, we can bring back that relationship between the fan base and Bradley Beal, because like I said, his departure did leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and I get that, man. But in the same token, man, he did provide good years here in DC. So hopefully it's kind of like Gilbert Arenas, where if you look at ownership, what Ted Leon says in his relationship to Gilbert Arenas, where when he bought the team, that was the end of the Gilbert Arenas era. But last year you saw them, the bobbleheads with the big three as far as Antoine Jameson, Grant Butler, and Gilbert Arenas. You see Gilbert Arenas a lot more involved with the organization to a certain degree. And even Gilbert Arenas, man, with his podcast, I know a lot of you are either pro or against what he says. And he's my guy, but he does say some crazy stuff sometimes. But that would be my answer, guys. 10 plus years, he came in, he was ready to play. And obviously his exit was sloppy, but I think the legacy, just see what he did bring to this franchise, man. He did bring a scoring punch to this franchise. He definitely formed a great tandem backcourt to John Wall, who really fed off each other. I know the media tried to paint them as enemies, and towards the end, a lot of details that come out as far as, especially with the death of John Wall's mother, how Bradley Beal was a big supporter in that. So, the media has their aims, and but that's the thing, man. I got fond memories of Bradley Beal in DC, especially with John Wall. So definitely comment below. Let me know what you guys think. What is Bradley Beal's legacy in DC in your eyes? Definitely let your boy know. So again, appreciate y'all, man. This is Sunday, so this is definitely on the audio side is going to drop tomorrow. But again, we're going to start the new week. But appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to rock with your boy, man. So again, definitely appreciate you guys. So Locked On has launched its first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts at Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So again, guys, this week we're going to be doing player grades, player analysis. So tomorrow, definitely rock with your boy tomorrow night, because we're doing Jordan Poole and Denny Avia, man. So definitely going to be a good episode, grading both JP13 and Turbo. So definitely rock with me tomorrow night. So everybody have a good night. Thanks again for taking time out of your day to hear what I got to say. So I appreciate you guys, man. So again, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Everybody have a good evening. Hail to the Wizards, and peace. See you guys tomorrow.